Page 552 continued. The stanza. The stanza is, quote, a group of usually rhymed lines occurring as repeated metrical unit, unquote, stop. Whether simple or elaborate in structure, the stanza helps to bind the parts of a poem together into a single whole so that the poem becomes a, quote, a silver chain of sound of many links, comma, without a break, unquote, stop. The form of stanza employed in a poem is, with rare exceptions, identical throughout. The following stanza forms are generally used by poets. 1. Couplet or the distich, D-I-S-T-I-C-H. It is a pair of successive lines of verse, especially when rhyming and of the same length. Alexander Pope used it in the Rep of the Lock and the Essay on Man. Shakespearean sonnet concludes with a rhyming couplet. For example, but if the while I think on thee, comma, dear friend, comma, all losses are restored, comma, and sorrows end, stop. 2. The tercet or the triplet. It is a stanza of 3 lines. When all 3 lines rhyme, it is called the triplet. A few examples are given below. I made a posy while the day ran by, semicolon. Here will I smell my remnant out, comma, and tie my life within this band. My life within this band, stop. 3. The quatrain. It is a stanza of 4 lines, typically with alternate rhymes. It is derived from French quarter, Q-U-A-T-R-E, which means 4. It is the most familiar of all stanzas. Shakespearean sonnets consist of 3 quatrains and a couplet. For example, to me, fair friend, comma, you never can be old, comma, for as you were when first your eye I eyed, such seems your beauty still, stop. 3 winters cold have from the forests shook 3 summers' pride. On some fond breast the parting soul relies, semicolon. Some pious drops the closing eye requires, semicolon. Even from the tomb the voice of nature cries, semicolon. Even in our ashes leave their wonted fires, stop, para. The term common meter is used for those quatrains which consist of alternate tetrameters and trimeters. We have an example of elegiac quatrain consisting of 4 lines of iambic pentameter in alternate rhyme. 4. The quintain, Q-U-I-N-T-A-I-N. It is a stanza of 5 lines which has been skillfully employed in Shelley's Skylark. 5. The sestet, S-E-S-T-E-T. It is a stanza of 6 lines, especially the last 6 lines of a Petrarchan sonnet. The term sestet is derived from Italian sestelto and Latin sextus, meaning 6. 6. The rhyme royal. It is so called because it was used by King James I of Scotland in his King's Quair, Q-U-A-I-R. It was also used by Chaucer for many of his Canterbury tales. It is also known as the Chaucerian stanza. The rhymes are as follows: A, B, A, B, B, C, C. 7. The ottava rima. The term ottava rima means 8 rhyme. It is a form of stanza having 8 lines of 10 syllables, each in English. It is employed in Wordsworth's The Reaper, page 553. 8. The Spenserian stanza. It is a poetic stanza consisting of 8 lines of iambic pentameter and an alexandrine with a rhyme scheme A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C, C. It is named after Edmund Spenser, who used it in his allegorical romance The Faerie Queene. Para. The Alexandrine is a 12-syllable verse line consisting 6 iambic feet with a pause after the third. It is named after Alexander the Great from the use of such lines in a poem about Alexander. Rhyme and kindred devices. Poets and writers differ on the use of rhyme in poetry. A modern writer says that, quote, rhyme is a silly ornament, comma, a nuisance to the ear of a reader educated to appreciate the essential qualities of poetry, unquote, stop. Milton considered it, quote, no necessary adjunct or true ornament of poem or good verse, unquote, stop. On the other hand, it is considered as, quote, a discipline, comma, and every discipline is a source of strength and of freedom, unquote, stop. We cannot ignore, quote, the rhymed splendors, unquote, of Chaucer, Shakespeare, and even of Milton himself. Therefore, we must consider the value of rhyme to poetry. It is a source of pleasure to lovers of poetry, and it has the pleasing effect of recurring notes in music. It also helps to bind separate lines together into a greater unity. It may also be used to mark the end or close of a phrase. Para. The following kinds of rhyme are in common use. 1. Masculine rhyme or single syllables as time, comma, crime. 2. Feminine or double rhyme or 2 syllables as kissed her, comma, missed her. 3. Triple rhyme or 3 syllables. Grotesque and humorous effects are often obtained by the use of triple rhymes. Butler and Browning skillfully used it. It should be noticed that the consonants preceding the rhyming syllables should differ, and syllables are not in rhyme unless they are similarly accented. 4. Internal rhymes. Pleasing effects are sometimes achieved by the use of internal rhymes. For example, in mist or cloud, comma, or mast or shroud, it perched for vespers 9, semicolon. Whiles all the night, comma, through fog smoke white, glimmered the white moonshine, stop. Assonance and alliteration. Assonance, A-S-S-O-N-A-N-C-E, is another form of recurrence like rhyme, and alliteration, A-L-L-I-T-E-R-A-T-I-O-N. It is produced by the repetition of the same vowel sounds in syllables which differ in their final consonants, for example, gold, comma, bowl. Rhyme has a structural function. Assonance is mainly used to add color to verse. Swinburne skillfully uses it in his poetry. Para. Alliteration is the recurrence at short intervals of the same initial consonant. Before the introduction of rhyme, it served to bind lines together. Its use now is chiefly ornamental. Like internal rhyme, alliteration is usually most pleasing when it is deftly concealed. Figures of speech. A figure of speech is a word or phrase used for vivid or dramatic effect. The following figures of speech are commonly used in order to impart vividity, beauty, and effectiveness to language. 1. Alliteration. It is the repetition of the same consonant sound at the beginning of 2 or more words. For example, as fair as the fabulous asphodels. Full fathom 5 thy father lies, comma. Fair is foul and foul is fair, stop. 2. Simile. In it, at least one similarity between two dissimilar objects is explicitly stated with the help of like, as or so. For example, how far that little candle throws his beams! Exclamation. So shines a good deed in a naughty world, Cologne. And thy soul was like a star, and dwelt apart. Thou hadst a voice whose sound was like the sea. Stop. 3. Metaphor. It is the, quote, imaginative use of a word or phrase to describe somebody or something as another object in order to show that they have the same qualities and to make the description more forceful, unquote. Stop. In it, the similarity between two dissimilar objects is suggested and not clearly stated through so, as, or like. For example, the camel is the ship of the desert, the news was a dagger to his heart. Stop. Para. It is considered as the basic figure of speech. To Aristotle, it is the best gift of the poet. According to Quintilian, it is the most beautiful figure of speech. The use of two or more metaphors in the same expression is known as the mixed metaphor. For example, page 554. I smell a rat, I see it floating in the air, but I will nip it in the bud. Stop. 4. Personification. It is the attribution of human sensibility to an abstraction or intimate object. For example, Confucian now hath made his masterpiece. Laughter holding both her sides. Stop. Death lays her icy hands on kings. 5. Apostrophe. It is an address to a dead or absent person, or a personified idea or object. For example, O liberty, what crimes have been committed in thy name? O solitude, where are the charms that sages have seen in thy face? Milton, thou shouldest be living at this hour. Stop. 6. Hyperbole. It is the deliberate and obvious exaggeration of language for creating effect. For example, all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand, O Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain. I loved Ophelia, 40,000 brothers could not with all their quantity of love make up the sum, but still fought on, nor knew that he was dead. Stop. 7. Euphemism. It is an expression that is gentler or less direct than the one normally used to refer to something unpleasant or embarrassing. For example, pass away is an euphemism for die. Stop. You are telling me a fairy tale, lie. Stop. 8. Antithesis. It is the balancing of two or more words or phrases of opposite meanings. For example, not that I love Caesar less, but that I love Rome more. Speech is silver, but silence is golden, To err is human, to forgive divine. Stop. 9. Oxymoron. It is a figure of speech in which apparently contradictory terms appear in conjunction. For example, I was a cruelly kind husband, so innocent arch, so cunningly simple. His honor rooted in dishonor stood, and faith unfaithful kept him safely true. Stop. 10. Paradox. It is an expression that appears contradictory but is not really so. For example, the child is the father of the man. Art lies in concealing art. 11. Epigram. It means a concise and witty saying or a remark. For example, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Stop. The proper study of mankind is man, comma. He makes no friend, comma, who never made a foe, comma. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Stop. 12. Irony. It is an expression intended to have the opposite meaning. It may be defined as, quote, the expression of meaning through the use of language signifying the opposite, comma, especially for humorous effect. Stop. Unquote. For example, no doubt, but ye are the people, comma, and wisdom shall die with you. Job 12:2. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, bracket. For Brutus is an honorable man, comma, so are they all, comma, all honorable men, bracket closed. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. Stop. He was my friend, comma, faithful and just to my. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Stop. Para. Dramatic or tragic irony is a literary technique originally used in Greek tragedy, by which the significance of a character's words or actions are clear to the audience or the reader, although unknown to the character. The word irony is derived from Greek ironia, E-I-R-O-N-E-I-A, meaning simulated ignorance. 13. Pun, P-U-N. It is the, quote, humorous use of a word that has two meanings, comma, or of different words that sound the same, semicolon. A play on words, unquote. Stop. For example, an ambassador is an honest man who lies abroad for the good of his country, comma. Ask for me tomorrow and you shall find me a grave man. Stop. 14. Metonymy, M-E-T-O-N-Y-M-Y. It is a word or expression used as a substitute for something with which it is closely associated, as Washington for the U.S. government, bench for the judges. You must address the chair, within bracket, the chairperson. Grey hairs, within bracket, old men, should be respected, comma. We are reading Milton, bracket, the works of Milton. Stop. 15. Synecdoche. It is a figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole or vice versa. For example, India, the Indian cricket team lost by 4 wickets, meaning the Indian cricket team. Page 555. Para. All the best brains in Asia could not solve the problem. 16. Transferred epithet. It means the change of the sense of a word or phrase by extension or metaphor. For example, the ploughman homeward plods his weary way. Stop. He passed a sleepless night. Stop. 17. Litotes, L-I-T-O-T-E-S. It is an ironical understatement in which an affirmative is expressed by the negative of its contrary. It is derived from Greek litotes, meaning plain or meager. For example, the man is no fool, very clever. I am a citizen of no mean city, very famous. 18. Interrogation or rhetorical question. It is a statement put in interrogative form for the sake of emphasis and not for eliciting an answer. It is a rhetorical device used for creating rhetorical effect. For example, If winter comes, can spring be far behind? ? Can storied urn or animated bust back to its mansion call the fleeting breath? ? 19. Climax. It is, quote, a technique in or passage of rhetoric in which a series of phrases or sentences is arranged in increasing order of forcefulness, unquote, stop. For example, what a piece of work is man! ! How noble in reason! How infinite in faculties! ! In action, how like an angel! ! In apprehension, how like a god! ! 20. Anticlimax. It means the sudden and ludicrous descent in writing or speaking from a significant to trivial idea. For example, hear thou, great Anna! ! Whom 3 realms obey. Doest sometime counsel take and sometime tea stop. 21. Circumlocution. It is the use of an unnecessarily large number of words to express an idea. For example, night's candles are burnt out, and jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain top. 22. Conceit, conceit. It is an elaborate and cleverly expressed figure of speech. In it, apparently different things are shown to have a relationship. For example, see! How she leans her cheek upon her hand, cologne. Oh! That I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek, stop. 23. Onomatopoeia. It means the use of words, the sounds of which suggest the meaning. Hiss, thud, cuckoo, sizzle, hush, hum, etc. are onomatopoeic words. For example, the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the sky, stop. The murmurous haunt of flies on summer ever, the moan of deaves in immemorial elms, and murmur of innumerable bees, stop.